why did it happen to me? I don't really know. I do not have the answers for that.
Many horror movies claim to be based on a true story to make them scarier, but it's often just a marketing trick. However, one family actually claimed that events shown in The Conjuring, 2013, happened to them in real life during the 1970s. They reported being thrown out of bed, touched by ghosts, and tormented by a spirit. This story starts in 1971, when Roger and Carolyn Perron moved to a new home in Harrisville, Rhode Island, with their 5 daughters. Soon after they arrived, a neighbor gave them some strange advice. Keep the lights on at night. Not long after, the family had their first strange encounter. At first, it was small things, items moving and odd noises, which seemed normal for an old house. But over time, the Perron children felt they were sharing their home with ghosts. The spirits were friendly at first, even tucking the children in and giving them goodnight kisses. One daughter, Cynthia, remembers a ghost woman kissing her forehead each night. She initially thought it was her mother, but the ghost smelled like flowers and fruit instead of her mom's usual ivory soap. As time passed, though, darker spirits appeared. The Perron girls reported being attacked by invisible forces in the barn and hearing voices talking about bodies in the walls. One night, Cindy told her sister Andrea that a ghost had told her there were 7 dead soldiers buried in the house's walls. The hauntings grew worse. Every morning around 5:15, they'd smell something like rotting flesh, and an aggressive male spirit began to torment the girls. Andrea was so frightened that she didn't share details of what happened. Despite these terrifying experiences, the family didn't move out right away. Among the family, Carolyn Perron, the mother, seemed to be the most affected by the spirits, as she had more frequent encounters than anyone else. In an interview, Carolyn Perron said she realized something was wrong when she saw a woman in a gray dress beside her bed, moaning, "Get out! I'll drive you out with death and gloom." The parents thought this ghost might be Bathsheba Thayer, a supposed witch they believed was behind many of the hauntings. Andrea, the eldest daughter, said the ghost saw herself as the mistress of the house and disliked Carolyn for being in charge. At first, Bathsheba's actions were small and annoying, like pinching and poking. But things soon became more frightening, and Carolyn seemed to be a primary target. The family believed Bathsheba even took over Carolyn's body at times, leaving her weak and drained. The Perron's story eventually reached Ed and Lorraine Warren, paranormal investigators. Andrea Perron said a family friend told the Warrens about the haunting after hearing them speak at an event. When the Warrens arrived, Lorraine felt a dark presence. The couple attempted to cleanse the home and held a seance in the basement with Carolyn. However, it only made things worse. During the seance, Andrea, who sneaked in to watch, saw her mother speak in an unknown language, levitate, and then be thrown across the room. The movie The Conjuring includes scenes where Carolyn is haunted by ghostly clapping hands during a game of hide and clap. But according to Cynthia Perron, real life was even scarier. While playing hide and seek, she hid in a pine box that wasn't locked, yet when she tried to get out, the lid wouldn't budge. She panicked, kicking and screaming, but no one heard her cries for help. 20 minutes after Cynthia got trapped in the box, her sister Nancy came by and opened it easily. Was it paranormal or just an old box? You decide. The Perrons say Bathsheba Thayer's spirit still haunts them. During the filming of The Conjuring, the family was invited to visit the set. While they planned to go, Carolyn backed out last minute, possibly because she was afraid to relive those memories. According to Andrea, during an interview on set, a sudden gust of wind knocked over lights and cameras. Later that night, the family learned Carolyn had broken her hip at the exact time the wind struck, and when they visited her, she whispered, "Bathsheba's curse." Andrea believes Bathsheba didn't want her story revealed. Andrea also claims that anyone who lived in the house experienced hauntings. One man who started renovations allegedly ran out in fear, leaving his tools and belongings behind. However, Norma Sutcliffe, the current owner, has downplayed these stories. She reports only mild experiences like hearing voices, footsteps, and seeing a blue light in one room. Despite this, the house has attracted unwanted attention since The Conjuring was released, prompting Sutcliffe to try to disprove the Perron story. The Conjuring portrays Bathsheba Thayer, also known as Bathsheba Sherman, as a witch who sacrificed her child to Satan and became an evil spirit haunting the house. But the real Bathsheba was a regular woman from the 1800s who lost 3 of her children young, which wasn't unusual for that time. She died of a stroke in 1885 and was buried alongside her family. A common question people ask is, why didn't the Perrons just leave? Andrea explained that money was the issue. During the 1970s economy, it was impossible for the family to leave their 200-acre farm without financial ruin. With no one able to take in a family of 7, they felt stuck. Finally, in 1980, they were able to sell the house and immediately moved to Georgia. As for whether this story is true or if it just makes a good horror tale, that's up to you to decide.
Why did it happen to me? I don't really know. I do not have the answers for that. Like places like Amityville. That, if you gave me $1 billion, I wouldn't go in that house again. Because it messed up my life and my husband's life. Terrible. Horrible. Horrible place. Oh, it was terrible. That's where I levitated. My body. In that home. In which it was, the things that happened there were terrible. Really, really terrible.
As I grew up, I had access to an 80,000 volume library. And I read from that library extensively about religion, all the religions of the world. And I was really an atheist at that point when we moved to the farm. But things began to happen in the house.
My wife, she saw an ad in a newspaper and decided she would go and look at it. And while I was away, I guess I was away for about 3 days, and during that period, she looked at it, liked it, and put a deposit down on the house. The idea of living on 200 acres in a beautiful home like that was, that's enough to fire you up. It was beautiful.
The day we moved into the house was very chaotic. We were trying to move out the previous owner while we were trying to move in a family of 7. So it was pretty chaotic. And I came running through from the kitchen to the front hallway and into what became our dining room, and there was this man standing there. And as children do, I was just like, okay, you know, it's somebody, and I ran off to play.
The house was straight out of the 30s or 40s. It had linoleum on the floor. There was no modern conveniences. The house was 110 feet long, and just walking it back and forth, walking the length of the house, unpacking and getting the children settled. My muscles of my legs started to hurt, and that was the beginning of the pain.
It drained my mother's energy so severely that she would sleep in bed for like 2 years. She could hardly get out of bed. Because it caused her so much depression, too. Fear for her children, fear for herself.
Terrible fear for us.
I met one of the neighbors, and she said to me, you know, when the Kenyans lived here, they left the lights burning in the house all the time, all day long, all night long. And I thought that was kind of strange. But that was clarified for us by Mr. Kenyon. He said, for the sake of the children, you should leave lights on at night.
When you walk in a house that evil, you know that
house really had very, 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 very bad vibes.
In her day, she was the house of the county, you know, the one that you drive by and they're like, that was the first house. And that's what she was. And when the witch and on all these ghosts moved in, they just slowly just chipped away at her, and like the cracks showed up and the veining and the darkness of the house.
We started to absorb the karma of the house almost as through osmosis. We would hear the mournful, pitiful, sad weeping of children in the house.
And it was always that one bedroom window, that middle bedroom window. And it was though she had the window open and was hollering out the windows, "Mommy, Mommy," just wailing.
Lorraine came. She was very sweet. She was very gentle with the children, but she started to issue warnings to me.
I knew the house was haunted. All I had to do was walk in it. We just had to find the source.
My mother did an inordinate amount of historical research on the house. And the reason that she did was not only was she fascinated with the fact that we were living in a 1736 house, but she also knew by the time that we started to see multiple spirits in the house, she wanted to know who it was. And that's when we learned about Bathsheba Sherman.
We wanted to get deeper into this case, yes. We definitely we went up there so many times to try to find the help, to really try to find for them. But it was very sad.
I told her about some of the things that had happened. I woke to the smell of smoke in my bedroom. And then there was Bathsheba. This is when she put the curse on me. What she said at the last of it is, "Next time we meet, ye too be dead."
The spirit that was most threatening to her liked to manifest with fire.
In that house, we had much happiness and many happy times together, but we had horrible things happen too. Logic tells you that something that is immaterial, that is a shadow, that's a mist, that's a wind that passes by you and lifts your hair, cannot really hurt you. I still feel threatened. I feel threatened. I don't know that I'll even be willing to see the film. In fact, I doubt very much that I will be willing to see the film. For the same reason, I'm unwilling to ever go back to the house, especially to ever go inside the house again. I never would.
What do you think? Do hauntings seem real to you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And while you're here, check out more of our videos from Astral Sagas.